Hello and welcome to Data Science for Everyone. In today's tutorial and the next few videos, I'll be teaching you unsupervised learning in Python using scikit-learn. In a previous video, I showed you how to perform supervised learning, and I highly recommend you to go and watch that video as well. In this video, I will teach you how to perform clustering and feature transformation during unsupervised learning. So let's get started. Unsupervised learning is a class of machine learning techniques for discovering patterns in data. For instance, finding the natural clusters of songs based on listeners' streaming habits, or searching for patterns and correlations among songs that tend to play together, and using these patterns to express the data in a compressed form. These are examples of unsupervised learning techniques called clustering and dimension reduction. What is the difference between supervised learning and unsupervised learning? Let's understand this with an example. An example of supervised learning is using the features of emails, the sender, the word choice, and links to classify them as either spam or not spam. In this case, pattern discovery is guided or supervised so that the patterns are as useful as possible for predicting the label spam or not spam. Unsupervised learning, in contrast, is learning without labels. It's a pure pattern discovery, unguided by a prediction task. Today we will learn about clustering. Let's take an example. Let's take a look at this iris dataset. We will import the data first and look at the different columns it contains. The iris dataset consists of measurement of 3 species of iris flowers. There are 4 measurements: petal length, petal width, sepal length, and sepal width. The iris dataset is a 2-dimensional NumPy array. The columns of this array will correspond to the features, and the rows correspond to the measurements of individual plants. The samples of this iris dataset have 4 measurements, and therefore correspond to points in 4-dimensional space. It is difficult to visualize 4 dimensions, but using unsupervised learning techniques, we can still gain a lot of insights. One of the ways to gain insight into data is by using a method called clustering. We will cluster these samples using a method called KMeans clustering. It is implemented in scikit-learn or sklearn library in Python. Let's see how to run KMeans clustering. First, we will need to convert the iris data frame into a NumPy array. The data has a column containing species name, which we have to drop first. Then we will use the toNumPy method to convert it into an array called the iris array. We will also store the species column in a separate list, which we will use later. We will import KMeans from sklearn.cluster package. To run KMeans, we will have to specify the number of clusters. I will discuss how to choose the number of clusters later in my video, but right now let's set it to 3 clusters since there are 3 species of iris flowers: setosa, virginica, and versicolor. Once the model is trained, we can call the fit method to fit the array. This process fits the model to the data by identifying and storing the locations of each cluster. Once the model is trained, we can call its predict method to the same samples. This method returns a cluster label for every sample, showing which cluster it belongs to. Let's store these results in a variable called label and print them. As you can see, the 3 clusters have been assigned to 3 labels: 0, 1, and 2. If new data from different iris samples came along later, KMeans can assign them to clusters without having to retrain from scratch. It does this by keeping track of the mean or average position of the samples in each cluster. These averages are called centroids. Each new sample is then assigned to whichever cluster has the closest centroid. I have a new iris dataset containing 30 new samples. This data does not have a column called species, and our goal is to assign these into different species based on the KMeans cluster model that we have generated before. To do this, we'll import this data first and then convert it into a NumPy array. To assign them to existing clusters, we can simply pass this array to the predict method of the fitted KMeans model. This returns the cluster label for each new sample. Now let's visualize the clustering for this new iris samples using a scatter plot. To create a scatter plot, we will use matplotlib. I have done a previous video on matplotlib, and if you want to learn, I highly recommend watching that video. I'll be brief here. First, we'll import matplotlib as plt. Next, we extract the x and y coordinates for each sample. Sepal length is stored in column 0 of the array, and petal length is in column 2. Then we call plot.scatter, passing the x and y coordinates and setting c equal to labels to color the points by their cluster. Finally, we call plot.show to display the plot. As we can see, there are 3 different clusters in our new dataset. We can also visualize the centroids. To do that, we'll have to extract the centroids. The centroid values are stored in model.cluster_centroids_. Each row here represents the center point of each cluster, calculated as the mean of all the training samples in that cluster. We can extract the x and y columns just like we did before for our sample data, making sure to use the same 2 features, the sepal length and the petal length, so that the centroids line up exactly with our points on the plot. Finally, we call the second plot.scatter to overlay the centroids on top of our sample points using a diamond marker so that they are visually distinct. This lets us see at a glance not just which cluster each sample belongs to, but how close it landed to that cluster center. Now that we understand how to cluster data using KMeans, we have to learn how to evaluate the quality of the cluster. One of the ways by which we can evaluate the quality of the cluster is by looking at a dataset that are pre-grouped like our iris dataset. Remember that our iris dataset already had a column called species that grouped the dataset into individual species. If you remember, we extracted the species column from the dataset and stored it as a list. We can take this list and cross-tabulate to find out the number of samples that have each possible label and species combination. We'll use the crosstab function in pandas to make this table. Previously, we had already imported pandas as PD. We'll first have to make a new data frame with the labels from the KMeans fit and the species list that we have made from the original data frame. Then we'll use the crosstab function to make the table. On the first column, the labels are assigned by KMeans, which are 0, 1 and 2. The second, third and fourth column are the different species. We can see that KMeans was able to identify all 50 setosa flowers, but not all virginica or versicolor flowers were correctly identified. In the iris dataset, we already had information about which observations correspond to the respective iris flower species, and as a result, we are able to cross-tabulate to check the quality of our KMeans clustering. Now, what happens when there are datasets that does not have any labels assigned to the observations? In this scenario, we want to look at the cluster quality mathematically. A good cluster, in general, has observations close to one another and not spread out. The measure of the spread of samples within each cluster is called inertia. Inertia is measured by default when we run the KMeans function when the fit method is called. In fact, the KMeans function aims to cluster the observations in a way that minimizes inertia. Let's take a look. We call the inertia underscore method to find the inertia of our model. In general, the lower the value of inertia, the better the model. Here's a plot of inertia values of clusterings of the iris dataset with different number of clusters. We had used 3 clusters in our KMeans model, and our inertia is low. This is a good sign that we have chosen the right cluster value. We can also see that if the number of clusters were to increase to say 4 or 5, the inertia would have been even less and decreased slowly. The obvious question here is how many clusters we should choose. Ultimately, this is a trade-off. As I've mentioned before, good clustering has tight clusters, meaning low inertia. But we should also avoid choosing too many clusters. A good rule of thumb is to imagine this line plot as your hand and choose an elbow in the inertia plot, which is a point where the inertia value starts to decrease slower. Using this rule, 3 clusters is a good number of clusters for this iris dataset. To choose the right inertia, we have to make a plot that I'm showing you now. Let me show you how to make this plot. We can take a range of clusters. For example, here I have used clusters from 1 to 9 stored in the NC variable. Then I have created an empty list to store the inertia values for each cluster. Finally, I have used a simple for loop to loop over these individual clusters, fit the model, and append the new inertia values to the empty inertia list. We can also make a simple plot to visualize our results. We can see that as the number of clusters increase, the inertia value decrease. As I've mentioned before, this is a trade-off. To reiterate, a good rule of thumb is to choose an elbow in the inertia plot, which is a point where the inertia starts to decrease slower. Using this rule, 3 clusters is a good number of clusters for the iris dataset. Let's move to the next part of our video where I'll teach you an important concept called feature transformation. To explain feature transformation, let's bring in the Penguins dataset. The Penguins dataset has 5 columns. The features are the numerical columns such as bill length, bill depth, flipper length, and body mass. Let's extract those columns out and run KMeans on the dataset. Here, I've separated the features into a variable called features and extracted the species as a list in the species variable, just like we had done for our iris dataset. Since there are 3 species of penguins, I have set 3 clusters in KMeans function and performed fit and predict on the feature data. When I run cross-tabulation, we can see that this time things haven't worked out as the penguins dataset. The KMeans cluster do not correspond well with the different species of penguins. What could be the reason behind this? To find out, let's make a scatter plot with these 3 features. We can clearly see that the variances in the 3 clusters are extremely high. The dataset has different variances. The variance measures the spread of the data. As a result, KMeans is not able to properly cluster the penguins dataset based on the raw features. Because KMeans relies on calculating the physical distance between data points, those massive variances are going to completely dominate the distance calculations. To prevent this and ensure every feature contributes equally, we must standardize our data. In scikit-learn, we can easily achieve this using the standard scalar function. Standard scalar transforms the data so that for every feature, the mean becomes 0 and the variance becomes 1. Mathematically, it converts each raw value into a z-score, representing how many standard deviations a data point lies away from the mean. To apply standard scalar, we'll perform 2 steps. We will standardize the data using standard scalar and then cluster it using KMeans. For this, we will be using a pipeline to make our lives easier with standard scaling. First, we have to import make pipeline and standard scalar from the sklearn.pipeline and sklearn.preprocessing respectively. Then we will create a standard scalar object and assign 3 clusters to our KMeans function. To assemble the pipeline, we simply call the make pipeline function. Now we use the fit method of the pipeline to fit both the scalar and KMeans and use its predict method to obtain the cluster labels. As we can see, Standard scaler has clustered the data better compared to before when the data was not scaled. Standard scaler is an example of pre-processing step. There are several of these pre-processing steps available in scikit-learn, for example, max ab scaler or normalizer. With that, we have come to an end of the K-means clustering, quality evaluation, and feature transformation. In the next video, I'll be teaching you hierarchical clustering. So please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.